Hey, I'm Doug. Welcome to Backcountry Pilgrim, a channel all about hiking, camping, and backpacking and the gear that goes with it. Today I've got something a little different for you, and it all started when I picked up this Carson 80 external frame backpack. Now I've been having some fun with this, and I'm going to do a full review video on it later, but what I wanted to bring up today is that my interest in this pack kind of stems from my interest in the beginning of backpacking. My dad was one of those old school backpackers in the 70s, knocking out the Tahoe to Yosemite Trail before it even really existed. And I remember this cool external frame orange backpack that used to hang in our garage. That was his. And that led me into an interest in the history of backpacks. I am no backpack historian, but I thought that I would put all of that research into one place and present it here for you in case you're interested in the history of backpacks. Some people believe that backpacking began in about 3,300 BC with Otzi the Iceman. Otzi the Iceman is Europe's oldest natural human mummy. He dates back to the Copper Age, and they found him in the Otzal Alps in 1991 in Italy. Now he had several tools and an interesting fire starter kit full of different plants and flint, but he also had an unknown item that some people believe to be a snowshoe, but others believe it to be the oldest evidence we have of a backpack. What you see here is kind of an imaginative reconstruction of what Otzi's backpack might have been. Let's fast forward about, 3,200 years. By the time we get to 107 BC, the Roman army was undergoing some reforms by General Gaius Marius. He is the one who was responsible for the formation of a standing army, and one of the things he wanted to do was reduce the size of the supply train that kept the soldiers clothed and fed, and so he instituted a policy where each Roman soldier had to carry their own gear. But instead of a backpack, they basically tied all of their gear onto kind of a cross-shaped pole called a Furca, which is Latin for fork, and they would just hold it on their shoulder while they marched. And these guys would carry like 60 pounds worth of gear on that pole. It's very easy to simply take off and lean up against a tree when you get where you're going instead of having to untangle, which would be good if you were marching off to war. So although the Furca is not technically a backpack, it is one of the very first ways we know that humans started to go on very long marches and carry their own gear. Fast forward to the 1860s and the American Civil War. At this time, backpacks called haversacks or knapsacks were being issued to the army, but many of the soldiers actually found it more convenient to just roll their gear into their blanket, bend it into a horseshoe, put it over their neck, and just kind of carry it like that as they marched into camp. Now a knapsack or a haversack is basically just a big bag with some straps on it. It doesn't have any kind of frame or shape holding features, and so they're not terribly comfortable, especially if you have to carry a lot of weight. And that led a man named Henry Merriam to design a new kind of pack, and basically what he did was attach the sack to a frame to keep the weight off the shoulders. In 1886, he redesigned the pack so that it actually transferred the weight to a belt. This reduced the pressure from the shoulder straps and allowed the weight to be carried in a much more comfortable fashion. He also used some hardwood sticks to serve as a kind of frame, and these could be taken apart and used to set up a tent once soldiers reached the camp. Another generation later, 1908, we have Ole F. Bergen, who bent a light piece of tubular steel to conform to the wearer's body. He patented this idea, and it became a lot more popular because it kept the things inside the pack from jabbing into the person's body, and it also fit in a much more ergonomic way. They say he got the idea from classic Norwegian wooden packs that had been around for years, and this patent remained for the next 25 years. As late as 1920, we have a patent on the Bobbin and Shuttle pack carrier, basically a wooden shelf with two wooden rods and a strap hanging off of each one that a bag would just be tied to in order to be carried around. In 1924, Lloyd Nelson made the first ever mass-produced external frame backpack. Basically, it was a wooden pack with canvas bands that cushioned the load that was attached to the frame by steel pins, much like external frame backpacks are today. Interestingly, this pack also kept the load off of the person's back, which left it ventilated, and also kept the wearer from being poked by things that were being carried by the pack, a design that is still very popular today. This Alaskan pack board was patented in 1922 and is often considered the first big step into modern backpacking technology, and remained the leading pack style sold by REI well into the 1950s. In 1938, Jerry Cunningham added zippers to backpacks. Although incredibly commonplace today, up until the 1930s, backpacks were secured with straps and buckles, and Cunningham was the first one to put zipper enclosures on the different parts of the pack. Not only were zippers more convenient, but it allowed manufacturers to add more compartments onto a backpack while dropping weight, because they no longer had to sew on straps and buckles to keep those compartments shut. Between the technological improvements and the new surplus of materials brought on by World War II, in the 1940s, you started to see kids walking to school carrying their books in a backpack rather than under their arm or with the old leather strap. And one of the most famous of these, to this very day, is known as the Kanken. The Kanken was designed by Nordin, the founder of Fjallraven. In 1950, after coming home very tired from a hike and his awkwardly fitting backpack, Nordin took his mom's sewing machine and basically made himself a backpack. It was a canvas bag kept in place by straps on a frame, but it was held very close to the body, which relaxes the muscles quite a bit while hiking. Keeping it up higher helped a lot as well, and although this may not seem like that big of a deal, it was another major step forward in the evolution of the modern backpack. Back in America, a huge leap forward in backpack design was just about to occur, and it was in 1952 that the Keltys essentially invented the modern backpack. Dick Kelty was an aircraft engineer, and he basically saw that the frame of a backpack could be made with extremely lightweight materials, many of which were now available in quantity due to the end of World War II. So Dick took aircraft aluminum, parachute fabric, buckles, and other items that were left over from World War II manufacturing plants and created at home a brand new backpack with his wife Nena, who did the sewing. And the idea of a lightweight aluminum contoured frame with padded shoulder straps made of wool carpet and a hip belt really made the industry leap forward, and they quickly ran out of time trying to produce these packs in their home, and the Kelty brand was born. Jerry Cunningham produced the first nylon backpack, a backpack that would not look that unusual in a store today. That same year, in 1967, the backpacking world took on another giant evolutionary step with the invention of the internal frame backpack by Lowe. Lowe realized that frameless packs were just too small for the kinds of loads that major mountain climbers were taking, but external frame packs could be unbalanced and difficult to use on uneven terrain or while climbing. So he made a pack with an internal frame that was stiff enough to transfer the weight like an external frame pack would, but it was also contoured enough to ride really close to the body and keep the hiker or climber on balance. Lowe then added the sternum strap and compression straps that we see on virtually all modern day internal frame backpacks. Let's go back to 1970, and the Alcoa Aluminum Company sponsored a design competition won by Seattle native Murray Pletz, who won the competition with an aluminum flexible frame backpack. He then joined forces with his cousin Skip Yowell to begin making backpacks for production. However, neither one of them knew how to sew, and so Pletz appealed to his girlfriend Jan Lewis to help them out, and he agreed that he would name the company after her. You guessed it, Jansport. Now, Jansport made its initial mark by offering a panel loading backpack, the kind that unzips from the front and opens up instead of having to be reached from the top. They patented that in 1970. However, it is when they started selling their packs at the University of Washington that the company really took off. And today, although Jansport continues to make full-size backpacks, their main bread and butter comes from the now standard college book bag backpack. In 1984, Deuter patented one of my favorite innovations in backpacking, which is the mesh backing. What this does is creates a very lightweight, ventilated pressure point against your back that the backpack pushes on instead of the whole pack being smushed right up against your body. This helps with sweat ventilation, it's also more comfortable, and it allows the pack to ride in a different way such that the weight distribution is even better for many people. Now, for the invention of the hydration system, we need to go back to 1989 and the competitive biker Michael Eidson, an EMT who actually transformed part of his medical equipment, namely an IV bag and some surgical tubing, into a hydration bladder that he could carry with him on his races and not have to fumble around with bottles. He basically put all of this in a sock and then started carrying it around. Well, it became such a popular invention that he started the company Thermalback, later transferred to Camelbak, and the modern hydration bladder was invented. In 1998, Kim and Demetri Coupounas founded a company called Lite. And the first backpack that they came out with had no hip belt, no frame sheet, and it was incredibly light because instead of being made of nylon, this pack was made of Dyneema. Dyneema is a type of ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene invented by Albert Pennings in 1963, but was not made commercially available until 1990. A super lightweight and super strong material that turned out to be perfect for ultralight backpacking. In 2004 and 2005, a triple crowner named Joe Valesco was tired of all of the pockets, belts, straps, and everything that was loading him down, went home and started his own company called Zpacks. Along with being one of the most popular of the Dyneema type backpacks, Zpacks also has created packs with a carbon frame system while still providing a framed pack. They are incredibly lightweight. Coming back to more traditional packs, in 2015, Osprey invented the anti-gravity system. Now, since Deuter's invention of it, a lot of packs have used the mesh backing to keep the pack off of the back, still provide some stability, but also keep airflow going so that you're not sweating out your pack. What Osprey did is they realized that that netting could be extended not only all through the back of the pack, but all the way into the front of the hip belt. And what this does is allow the entire suspension system to work together as a single piece, utilizing every contact point, increasing the surface area of support, and giving the backpack a ride like no other. Now, with the success of Zpacks and other cottage-type companies, you're starting to see a lot more of these individuals coming out, doing their work literally at home in their garage, and creating some really special gear. We can talk about McHale and Company. We can talk about Hilltop Packs. We can talk about Lite AF. And what they're doing is not just making really lightweight packs, but they're making them very customizable. You can literally send in your personal logo, pictures, designs, patterns, anything you want, and have a pack made for you exactly to your specifications and with even the look that you prefer. There are also some companies making some very innovative and unusual backpacks that may turn out to be the next big step in evolution. One of them is Mammoth and their active suspension. New kinds of attachment points for hip belts and shoulder straps that can actually swivel independently and move better with the human body. We can also talk about the Hoverglide floating pack. This pack actually utilizes kind of a shock suspension system that allows the pack to ride up and down as the body moves. The claim is that this reduces the impact of motion up to 86% and allows the wearer to carry up to 50 pounds comfortably. Whether or not these kind of packs are the future or some other technology comes along to make backpacking even more interesting, we'll have to wait and see. Alright, well, we have come a long way since the external frame backpack, which itself came a long way from everything carried by humans in the backpacking community prior to it. I hope this history of backpacks has been entertaining for you, informative for you. If it has, would you mind giving it a like? And for more information about hiking, backpacking, and camping, gear, and some of the trips that I've gone on, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that bell notification so that you will know every time I upload a new video. Till next time, I'm Doug. Thank you for watching. Take it easy.